Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Gus and Dave Sports Podcast. I'm Dave. That's Gus. And today we have a very special guest. He was a key part of our 2025 season, a key figure to our Omaha run, the Golden Glove outfielder. Ladies and gentlemen, Sebastian Alexander.
All right. Thank you guys for having me.
Sebastian, why don't you tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, like where you're from, what you're doing right now?
Yeah. So I'm from Mayfield, Ohio, and played 3 years at Coastal. Right now I'm playing in the Frontier League with the Lake Erie Crushers and just enjoying ball. Get to have the best job in the world.
That's sweet. That's sweet. So when it comes to your earlier part in your career, uh we kind of did some research on you. You've been to Phoenix College, you went to Kent State. Were there any hiccups in that process to eventually getting to Coastal Carolina?
Definitely, I think my first stop was definitely a hiccup. Um, a lot of it to do with myself and being young and kind of immature. I made a decision that was more geared towards staying close to home. That was like the main thing I was thinking about. And it wasn't the best situation for me. So it was kind of a year that like kind of held me back a bit. But afterwards I decided like I wanted to branch out a little bit. So I that's how I wound up in Phoenix, kind of get away from home and kind of refigure the kind of player that I am and kind of get back to what makes me good. Um, and I kind of stuck with that, getting the opportunity to go to Coastal, like being able to kind of go in a new environment and like make it feel like home. So yeah, it definitely wasn't smooth, but I would say I wound up kind of right where I wanted to be for sure.
And what was kind of like that process like? Were there a lot of big offers out of high school? Did you want to stay closer to your home? Is that why you chose Kent
Mhm.
State? Did you have other offers other than
Yeah,
Kent State?
I would say Kent State was the best offer I had, school wise, but it definitely wasn't like the best fit. I would have went to a junior college. That's like hindsight. That's where I should have started off at. I was kind of a guy who developed, say, like later in the game. Like I didn't get really like physical and grow into my body until like basically my end of my junior to my senior year, where a lot of the recruiting has already happened. So I was a little bit later in that way, and I kind of just jumped at what was close to home instead of kind of really being willing to get out of my comfort zone and see what else is out there.
Definitely. When you made it to Coastal, I have your stats put up from both 2020 that first year, 2024, and then
Mhm. Yeah.
2025. And that 2024 year, I can imagine maybe didn't go as planned your first year at Coastal because you made a big jump from you batted 164 in 2024 to 318
Yeah.
in 2025. What changed? What mentally changed? Was it just the coaching, the facilities? What happened to where you made that big of a jump?
Well, to kind of even get ahead of that, my first year at Coastal was 23,
Okay.
I believe. And so I got on campus, was playing pretty well to start things off, and then I had a big injury to my throwing arm. So I ended up needing to get surgery on that. So that year was kind of a wash. And then came back the next year and was mainly healthy. Like on paper, I was healthy, but there was a lot of like residual nerves maybe surrounding the kind of injury that I had. So I really didn't like perform anywhere close to what like the expectation was going to be. Um, so the difference between those 2 years was, for one, I kind of got healthy. Things started moving in the right direction that way. Um, but mainly for two, I kind of got to a point where I had struggled early on, and I cared so much, and I kind of needed to learn to let go a little bit and just let myself be free to play. That was like the main thing that an exit meeting that we had with the coaches. That was one of the main things that we said was like, hey, you got to go out there and play. Like, care less about what we think, care less about what anyone else thinks. not trying to be perfect, just go out and let yourself play free. So that's kind of what I did my senior year. I just felt like um, if you kind of make the moment too big, then you really won't perform in it. So I kind of tried to shrink the moment, make every moment into just having fun with it, kind of.
Definitely. And go ahead, Gus. You got it.
I was just gonna say, like, the coaches obviously probably repeated that kind of
Mhm.
same statement of playing free. Was that the kind of statement they put into the rest of the roster? Because going on a 26 game win streak going into the College World Series,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it looked like you guys were playing just out there for fun. But
yeah.
obviously, at the end of the day, we were going for wins. Did they kind of instill
Mhm.
that into all of you guys?
I think they're really good at kind of pinpointing each guy, knowing what certain guys need. I think certain guys were definitely needing to be pushed a little bit more in the direction of like, hey, you gotta focus harder, you gotta do this more, you gotta like anchor in on this, where certain other guys are like, hey, like we see what's already in you, let's let it happen. Um yeah, 26 game win streak. Was yeah, that was a highlight. That was awesome. I'd say a lot of that was we were really good at staying focused on one day at a time, and not seeing the bigger picture, or at least not focusing on it too much, and just realizing that the only way we get there is by winning today. So that was a big thing that the coaches preached, was just a 1 day plan.
I feel like another thing that the coaches might preach is to stay in your batter's box. You had 18 hit by pitches in
Oh,
2025. I think the team had I think I saw when I looked it up, 179 hit by pitches
mhm.
all season. How does the coaches, like, what do they say to you players saying, don't move, like, just let the ball hit you?
Yeah, yeah. It's definitely woven in the culture. We would have, how you're hitting batting practice, we would have certain stations that are get hit by the pitch stations. You come in and you literally stand on the plate, and then you get used to doing it the safe way, turning away from the ball, making sure you're not like exposing yourself too much. Um, but that's a big thing because we got a lot of runs on the board, a lot of like big innings happen from that. Um, it makes your stats look better. Um, it's a big deal. Certain guys would jump out of the way of pitches. You could expect to see it on video when we would do like video review and stuff. Like it was a big deal. So and I know for me and a lot of other guys who've continued on, it has trickled on into their play professionally. Like I got some sore spots already that I'm working on, but it's all
Yeah,
worth it. Yeah.
definitely. I Was there ever a pitch that came in where you said this one's not worth wearing it, or that you can recall, or
Honestly, I haven't had too many in like the bad areas, nothing up by my head. Um, and just the way that I am, like I'm trying to see the ball as long as I can. So I don't really, it's not really in my makeup to like be able to jump out of the way. I don't have that like the greatest instincts for getting out of the way in the first place. So if it's coming at me, it's most likely gonna hit me.
yeah, for sure. And then I mentioned in the intro, I said Gold Glove outfielder. I looked up your stats, and it said that you only had one error your entire playing career at Coastal Carolina.
Mhm.
What thing? Because I'm not a big baseball guy. I was asking Gus
Yeah.
about this. If like, how many errors do outfielders really make? I mean, do you figure, or do you think your fielding is one of the strongest parts of your game?
I think my defense has continued to actually get better. And the error thing, like as an outfielder, it's difficult to make errors, um, which they're gonna happen. You really only can make an error if you miss a ground ball, or if the ball literally a routine play goes from in your glove to out of the glove. So the error thing is kind of hard to judge an outfielder on. Um, Now, more so, you look at like range and jumps and stuff. Mine have continued to kind of get better, get into more challenging plays and stuff. So it's definitely one of my strengths with the glove for sure, and then my arm strength has kind of started to come back. So I'm excited to be a better defender.
For sure.
Wait, what's the VO looking like from the outfield?
So I tested it over the off season, and I was able to get up to 93, 94,
Wow.
and that's a spot that I haven't been at since I tore my shoulder up like 4, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
Um, so I was really excited for that, and I think it throughout the season it'll continue to loosen up and get better. So yeah, it's a big deal to be able to have a competitive arm and add that to the defense.
that's sweet. Yeah, that's heat coming from the outfield. But let's switch back to going back to talking about the College World Series.
Yeah.
What is something that you think like behind the scenes, like in the clubhouse or even in the dugout that like people didn't see too much that you thought was or you thought that was like something that was helpful or even like fun or enjoyable that people didn't get to see too much?
There was so much fun. There was so much fun. I really like the format, how there's a day off in between, so you kind of get to breathe and enjoy what you're doing. Because on game day, like at least the way that we went about it, is we were very focused on not having the best experience, but trying to win the games. Um, and I'll say I really appreciated that about the coaching staff. We really didn't change anything. We didn't make the moment any bigger than it needed to be. We we treated it like what it was, which is an opportunity to win a game. Um, so I was impressed with that. How we were able to stay composed like that.
Obviously, the World Series did not go in our favor. But speaking of Game Two, the moment that Schnall got ejected, and I was replaying it just to get the memory back, but I
Yeah.
recalled you stole second base, you slide, you stand up, wipe the dirt off. Next thing you know, your head coach is getting tossed. Did you even have any idea of what just happened, or were you just so focused on getting a second and you look up and see he's gone?
Yeah, it was like a whirlwind. I'm just trying to get to second base and keep the line moving, and then it's I would say the crowd was they were really excited for that moment. A lot of LSU fans, and I had no clue what was happening.
Yeah,
I see him all the way towards the the home plate, and I couldn't believe it. I could not.
definitely. And then what kind of we interviewed Chance Miller earlier in the year, and he talked about this
Uh-huh.
moment of how he came down into the dugout, kind of fried. We got you guys fired up because he was fired up. What was the dugout like after that moment, after Schnall had got ejected? Were you guys like all pumped, fighting for him, or what was the deal?
I think we were honestly we were more so pissed that he wasn't going to be there with us because we know how much he puts into it, and it's similar to like having your teammate wrongfully like thrown out of the game. It's like you want them to be there for the full experience. Now when it comes to like getting more motivated, honestly I think we were maxed out on motivation already. Like it wasn't something that was gonna like rah rah get us going because we already felt that way. But it was more like we were kind of pissed that he wasn't going to be able to be there with us um, for the end of the ride.
Yeah.
Um, that's what I would say. Yeah.
Would you say that your experience, obviously going to Kent State, and throughout your whole journey, do you think that experience helped you and maybe even your teammates on this run that we had last year during the College World Series?
You're saying, did my time previously help with that?
Like the experiences you've had before in the past.
Yeah.
I know nothing compares to the College World
Yeah.
Series, but just being in like certain situations on and off the field, did that kind of help you guys in any certain situations or no?
I think it all adds up to what you get in the end. So I'm sure there's little things, little bits of advice and wisdom that I've picked up along the way that kind of was able to help us. But Coastal is really it was its own experience. That year, that season was really its own experience that it's hard to explain.
Yeah.
Um, it was just kind of the perfect storm of the right guys that were really bought into it. Um, and the team dynamics were as good as it can be. Um, and the ball just seemed to kind of roll our way a lot of times because of the attention, detail, the effort that we put into like taking care of what we can, worrying about our side of the field. Like we really didn't put a lot of focus into who we were playing. Like we would do the scouting report, we would do all that stuff, but our team kind of feeling towards it was that if we did what we needed to do, that it really doesn't matter who we're playing. And I think that's very rare. So yeah, Coastal was it was really that year was its own experience that I couldn't really draw much from anything else.
Definitely. Um, and then besides Omaha, I like to ask this question to former players. What was your favorite memory at being at Coastal? Because I mean, obviously the answer is going to always be going to Omaha with the boys, playing in a national championship in front of 25,000 fans.
Yeah.
What other
Okay.
experience besides that is
Yeah.
one of your favorites?
The other one would be the last midweek we played in 25 was against Clemson,
Yeah,
and we sold the place out first time, highest attendance ever. And that game like is etched in my brain. Like that set the bar. And then as the year went on, we continued to set the bar. But that right there was like the most fun I've ever had at that time. Um, the opponent, right, getting a win against them was awesome. Just everything about that night was perfect.
definitely. I remember. I think Gus and I were at that game. We were hanging over the Clemson bullpen. We were giving them an earful, but
But
that game
that's
was
how it
electric.
should be. Yeah,
Yeah,
it was awesome.
That's another thing I wanted to bring up. Being an outfielder, it doesn't
Mhm.
get lonely out there because you have all these spectators, especially at away
Yeah,
games. Do those, chirps ever, get in your head too much or affect you in any way?
I don't think so.
No.
Like I've tried to recall like what are some of the worst ones I've heard or like ones that really got me upset. I can't really recall many, which means I probably have my ears turned off, um, which is I guess a good place to be.
Yeah,
Um, but I mean, having a loud environment itself could because it screws up your communication and sometimes your focus. But but having people saying insults and stuff like hasn't really affected me or I haven't put much thought towards it.
no. Because we talked to Darren last week, and
Hmm.
he had mentioned that Auburn's environment was probably the loudest, or maybe even like the most obnoxious environment that he's been to in his
Uh-huh.
college career. Would you say the same, or was there another stadium or place that you've been to that kind of was a little bit louder, maybe a little bit worse with the spectators?
Okay. Auburn was definitely loud. I don't recall it being like a what's the word? They were loud, but they weren't very obnoxious. I would say when we went to Southern Miss in 24, that was a fan base that was more obnoxious. Couldn't have been as loud because Auburn had like twice the amount of fans.
Definitely.
Um, but but I will say their chirps were a little bit better. They were a little bit more obnoxious. Um, I would say that environment was a little bit kind of gets under your skin a little bit more. Auburn, they were loud, but it wasn't. They were wearing a lot of. They were like in polos and all dressed up. Like they weren't gritty.
Yeah,
So that's what I would say.
just a bunch of rich daddy's boys, something like
Exactly. Yeah.
that.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I get that. But I kind of want to switch over to like actually going to Coastal, the school in
Mhm.
itself. Was there any place in the surrounding area that you really like to go, get a drink or get some food at that you really enjoyed over others?
We would go to Hanley's,
Oh yeah, that's a good spot.
Rotelli's, and my personal favorite, Joe Hibachi. That's like downtown Conway,
Okay.
which I miss that place a lot.
Yeah.
Um, Other than that, what were the popular spots? I wasn't going out very often. so I can't give too much advice on that. Um, but I had some good time going to Broadway with my family and stuff, getting some good food there. Um, yeah, they kind of got everything you could want,
Definitely.
especially like
For sure
if
at
you kind
Broadway.
of branch out into Myrtle Beach too. Yeah.
What was the like day in the life of you or the team when, let's just say, like a midweek, like that Clemson game? What
Yeah.
was like what from 8 from when you wake up until last
Yeah.
pitch? What was going on for you and the team?
So Tuesday, I don't think I had any classes on a Tuesday, so it was sleeping till about 10 o'clock maybe. It was starting breakfast. We would have we probably would have lunch for a 7 o'clock game. We would probably have lunch ready from like two to three. So you show up and eat 2 to 3. Then we'd go down to the cages, probably, and even might be earlier than that. These are some long days, a lot of preparation pregame. Um, so we were probably hitting from 3 to 4 in the cages, and then we were hitting on the field from like 4 to 5. Then there was a snack in between, and then we're getting ready out on the field at like like 6:15, 6:20 for the 7 o'clock game, and then it's 9 innings of that. So the preparation pretty much starts getting the field at 2 o'clock to eat,
Okay.
fuel up for the long day. It's and I'll say the other places that I played, like the schedule wasn't that thorough, or that demanding, but eventually you kind of adjust to it and you realize that like this is your job, and you show up, and it's it's what your day consists of is being a baseball player and performing.
Cool.
Definitely. And did they fed you after every game, right? Like you
Yeah.
guys had catering. So what was your favorite meal to, let's say, after that comes, you come in after a win,
Uh-huh.
you're fired up, and you see that catering food. What was your favorite thing to eat after a game?
We had some good steak and rice, like kind of like hibachi style. We started getting that at the end of the year. Sometimes there'll be some like penne alla vodka. We'd get that from Rotelli's. Those
Okay.
were like my big two. Um, Other years we'd have like Chick-fil-A sandwiches and stuff like that, pizza. Like I'm really thinking about whatever, it could be fatty, greasy, whatever. So sometimes they'll have like leftover burgers and stuff from the concessions. Like I'm anything, anything. Yeah.
Okay. You just need the fuel. You're just hungry at that point.
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
Definitely. So, being from Ohio, are you a big, Cavs fan, Guardian fan? What's your big fandom over there in Ohio?
Those two, I would say, I don't really have a team that I like am obsessed over. But I like to see Cleveland teams win. And those two teams have been like really successful.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I like to support those two.
Are you a big LeBron fan? I have to ask.
Yes, yes.
Let's
No
go.
matter where he's at, yeah,
Let's
for
go.
sure. Yeah, I still remember what 2016 when they won it, the most insane
Coming back
feeling,
3-1. Can't make it
feeling.
up.
Yeah, yeah, making history. Yeah, it gave you a lot of pride for being from Cleveland. It was awesome.
That's sweet. Are you more of a Browns fan or a Bengal fan, being from Ohio?
Honestly, I'd say more of a Browns fan just because I want to see Cleveland do good, but I really almost could care less.
Yeah.
So I don't watch much football, so it really hasn't meant much to me. But I got a lot of friends and family that just for their sake, I'll say definitely Browns. I want to see them do good.
Cleveland. Big Cleveland guy. All right. That sounds good to me. I don't have any more questions for you, Dave. Do you have any more questions to ask Sebastian?
I was going to ask a few rapid
Yeah,
fire questions if you
yeah,
could, just like one, 2 words, whatever.
yeah.
Um, All right. Walk-off hit or a game-saving catch?
Walk-off hit.
Best ballpark you ever played at?
The College World Series.
Hardest pitcher you ever faced, if you can remember.
It would be Chase Shores.
Favorite teammate from Coastal?
Sam Antonacci.
He's doing great at Chicago now. He's taking hit by pitches all left and right.
Yeah.
If you weren't playing baseball, what would you be doing right now?
Ping pong.
Ping pong? You're a big ping ponger?
Love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's all I got for you. But
did you run the clubhouse in ping pong? Is that why you said that?
Yes, I did. There's some non-believers, right? We had some pitchers that were pretty good, but the thing is, the pitchers have all the time in the world.
Yeah.
So they can work on their craft of ping pong all day long. Me, I had to stay after hours. I had to grind it out. Yes, at a certain point, I can say that I was the ping pong champion.
That's awesome.
Do you still keep in touch with Antonacci to this day?
Yeah, like he's awesome. Yeah, he's not big league in anyone as far as I can tell. Not yet.
Yeah.
So yeah, we still talk.
Wait till he gets that extension in 5 or 6 years.
Yeah, I hope he doesn't change up on us.
Yeah. But I believe that's all the questions I have. Dave, do you have any more for him?
No, that's all I got for you.
I believe it's going to do it for this episode of the Gus and Dave podcast. Thank you guys for watching, and we shall see you next week.
Thank you guys.